Okay, thank you very much, Eric. Good afternoon, everyone. A virtual meeting of the MAG Executive Committee. The Executive Committee is called. With just a reminder to mute your device when you're not speaking. The first item on our agenda is the call to the audience. Members of the public were asked to submit written comments related to this meeting through the MAG website. Comments may be sent at any time leading up to the meeting, but must be received at least 1 hour prior to the proposed start time for the meeting. This is the opportunity for the public to comment on items that fall under MAG's jurisdiction that are not on the agenda or that are on the agenda for discussion and not for action. MAG staff, have we received any public comments? If so, please read them at this time.
Thank you, Chair and members of the Executive Committee. We received no public comment for today's meeting.
All right, thank you very much. We will move on then to agenda item 3, which is approval of the consent agenda. Items 3A and 3B are on the consent agenda. Does any member of the Executive Committee have questions or would like a presentation on any of these items? Hearing none, could I have a motion to recommend approval of consent agenda items 3A and 3B?
So moved, Mayor Hartke.
Second, Mayor Hermosillo.
Thank you, Mayor Hartke, and seconded by Mayor Hermosillo. Is there any discussion of the motion? If not, staff, could you please take a roll call vote?
Thank you, Chair and members of the Executive Committee. I'll go down the list of members. Please unmute and indicate how you vote. Mayor Weiss.
Aye.
Thank you. Mayor Gallego. Mayor Wires.
Aye.
Thank you. Mayor Peterson. Mayor Hartke.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson. Mayor Peterson. Mayor Hartke.
Aye, and Ben, could you turn your volume up? You're hard to hear.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Mayor Hartke. Mayor Hermosillo.
Aye.
Thank you. And Mr. Chair, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Thank you. Is there anyone that I missed? Thank you. The motion carries.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to agenda item 4, which is items to be heard. The next item is the annual performance review of the MAG Executive Director. MAG Deputy Executive Director Amy St. Peter will present along with MAG Human Services Resource Director Sarah Daly.
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, thank you very much for this opportunity to present. We'll be sharing with you today a revised process for your consideration and for your action. This will support the evaluation of our Executive Director, Eric Anderson. We do welcome your feedback and your direction today. This item is marked for action. In previous years, this process was staffed by Denise McClafferty from our Policy and Government Relations team. We appreciate all of her hard work over the years on this process. Since Human Resources leads all other staff performance reviews, we've reassigned the review of the Executive Director to HR as well. In just a moment, you'll hear from Sarah Daly, our HR Director, on the changes that we're recommending to this year's process. We appreciate the skills that she brings to this work, particularly based on years of HR experience. We focused this year on making the evaluation process more structured and more streamlined. Quantitative and qualitative data will help to track the performance and also to suggest areas for increased attention in the future. We consider the evaluations like this an important opportunity for communication and for growth. We look forward to your feedback today on this process and on growth opportunities in the future. I'd like now to invite Sarah Daly to present the draft tool and process for your input and action today. Thank you very much. Sarah, the floor is yours. Sarah, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Amy. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. The committee plays a key role in evaluating the Executive Director's performance, so I'm very excited to talk today about the new evaluation tool we developed to better benchmark performance for the Executive Director. In order to develop the evaluation tool, which is in your packet for review, we had to rearrange and reword a few areas in the Executive Director's job description to be in better alignment with the evaluation process. We broke down the evaluation tool to outline the key goals, then the objectives, and the action steps needed to attaining each goal. The evaluation form includes a column for the executive director to report on his progress and/or accomplishments over the last year in each of the action steps identified. Evaluation survey participants will then have the opportunity to review and comment on the same criteria. Section 3 of the performance evaluation tool is a rating form. This rating form was designed for us to discover the overall impression of the executive director's performance for the year. The proposed timeline is, if approved, HR will email the executive director's revised job description along with the new evaluation survey form to survey participants, on February 14th. Those evaluations are due then on March 14th. On April 18th, the evaluation results will be presented to the Executive Director Committee and Regional Council. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. This concludes my presentation. I am happy to take any questions.
All right, thank you, Sarah. Do we have any questions for Sarah or any other questions from the committee? Eric.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to thank Mayor Peterson in particular. You know, the first time I did my executive committee, my evaluation, he pointed out we really don't have objectives, and in fact, we didn't have a job description for the executive director, and so it's really hard to evaluate a person's performance if you don't even have a job description. So I want to thank Mayor Peterson. The executive committee did approve the job description for the executive director last year. So that set the basis for the evaluation for this year. So anyway, I just wanted to thank Mayor Peterson for helping us improve this whole process. We think it's much better than it has been in the past, and looking forward to comments from the executive committee. Thank you.
Thank you. I agree. Les, thanks for speaking up last year during this conversation and improving the process. We appreciate you doing that.
Thank you, John. This is Les Peterson. If I might add another comment after reviewing it, I think this is light years ahead. But what I would suggest is 3 to 5 or 7 priorities. You know, if you or I or Eric achieve our 3 top priorities, we will have had a successful year, as opposed to the bottom 10. When we have so many things that a person is responsible for, you know, we lose what is the big picture that we have to move, the half-cent tax, the homelessness program, et cetera, that I might suggest adding to it a list of here are the real critical issues that we're all trying to move ahead.
Another great suggestion. Thank you, Les. Hopefully, I think I saw Sarah and Eric and Amy all nodding when you were making that suggestion.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I think that's exactly right. Obviously, over this past fiscal year, we really focused on the investment plan for the extension of Prop 400, the approval of Momentum 2050, which occurred in December, and the homeless plan. So this year we had some major lifts, no doubt about it, but there are a lot of moving parts in the organization. And so we're always trying to kind of walk that line between too much detail and not enough. So we appreciate the comments. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Any other comments from our committee before we vote on this? All right, thank you. So this item is on the agenda for information, discussion, and possible action to approve the survey instrument and evaluation process for the MAG Executive Director's Performance Review. With those additional suggestions from Mayor Peterson, could I have a motion to approve?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion. This is Ken Weiss.
Thank you, Ken.
I'll make a motion to second it.
All right, thank you, Les. So motion by Mayor Weiss, seconded by Mayor Peterson. Is there any discussion before we vote? All right, thank you. Staff, would you please take a roll call?
Thank you, Chair and members of the Executive Committee. I'll go down the list of members. Please unmute and indicate how you vote. Mayor Weiss.
Aye.
Thank you. Mayor Gallego.
Aye.
Thank you. Mayor Wires.
Aye.
Thank you. Mayor Peterson.
Aye.
Thank you. Mayor Hartke.
Yes.
Thank you. Mayor Hermosillo.
Yes.
Thank you. And Mr. Chair, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Next item on our agenda, item 5, is the legislative update. MAG Policy and Government Relations Director Nathan Pryor will give this report. Nathan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the Executive Committee. I'll cover a federal item today and of course our update on our enabling legislation at the state legislature. So first, related to the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, we continue to monitor for guidance. We're aware that U.S. Conference of Mayors, there were some updates from federal officials. We were getting some messages back from staff that accompanied our elected officials, especially regarding some of the discretionary funding, some of the timelines associated with that. So thank you for that. Thank you for sending along that information from your staff. As I noted, we are waiting for more complete guidance on the formula funds and discretionary programs, timelines. We're looking to give a more complete report once we get that information at our policy committee meetings, especially as it relates to our overall regional transportation plan, especially the new one coming forward, Momentum 2050, how it all works together with our state and regional funds. So again, a more complete report, I'll look for that at an upcoming policy committee meeting. Turning to the state side, as was mentioned, enabling legislation for continuation of the half-cent sales tax in Maricopa County for transportation. Those bills should be introduced any day now. So thank you to Senator Pace for being a bill sponsor and Representative Carroll. They are scheduled to be heard, these bills, next week, January 31st in the Senate Transportation Committee, and also on February 2nd in the House Transportation Committees. We've been working with the business community and coordinating outreach to legislators. So that's been a very robust and not insignificant effort working with business community. So a lot of actors are helping us on the outreach to legislators. Overall, those conversations have been trending positive. So thank you for that. We've been actively tracking meetings with our member agencies and the business communities, and that effort will continue for the rest of the session until hopefully our work is successful. The business community has been holding meetings, lunch and learns, they're calling them. Thank you to Mayor Wires for attending last week's lunch and learn. It's very helpful in addressing questions and concerns from legislators. So thanks to Mayor Wires for that. And also, of course, thank you to our business community partners. As I mentioned, we have 2 bill hearings coming up next week. We can send out an action alert regarding that. Hopefully you will consider signing in support during those hearings. So a lot more to come on that. We'll continue to provide updates. And of course, when the bill is introduced, we'll send out an action alert to member agencies pointing to that bill so you can see it for yourselves. And again, an action alert, hopefully encouraging member agencies to sign in support at those upcoming hearings. Mr. Chairman, that completes my report. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Nathan. Do we have some questions for Nathan on this report or anything else related to the legislative session?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mayor Gallego.
This group has, and the full MAG committee has spent a lot of time discussing freeway noise, diamond grind, and others. Wanted to flag in Phoenix, there was a bill introduced, SB 1193, related to sound walls in an area where diamond grind has also been a discussion. So I think it would be worth us engaging in that area as well, since we have been spending a lot of time on freeway noise.
Yeah, I know we've had a couple of presentations, on diamond grind, and so it certainly has been on our agenda and something that a lot of our communities are very interested in. So I'd appreciate Mesa being one of them, frankly. So I'd appreciate hearing more about that. Nathan, are there any identified opposition to the Prop 400 extension yet? I mean, has any legislators taken up the cross to attack this, or are things still relatively quiet, or do we have a better picture of the lay of the land yet?
Right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the Executive Committee. We've been getting a number of questions regarding State Route 30. So we're working up a flyer, it should go out later today, regarding the funding amounts for the different segments and the phasing. I think hopefully it's just a lack of information. And we're trying to address that by getting that out there, showing the work that is going to State Route 30. Obviously, that was a significant conversation in the finalization of development of the plan. So hopefully getting that information out as these questions arise will help address that those type of questions and get that information to the people who need it.
Thank you. I think I'm scheduled to go next week to both the House and the Senate committee and speak in favor of the bill. So I think it's just a good reminder to all of us that it's here now. You know, the time for talking to your legislators is, if you haven't already done it, it's right now.
Yeah. Just to clarify too, Mr. Chair, I think the conversation that we've had with State Route 30 is more about how do we get it done sooner rather than opposition. Nathan, correct me if I'm mistaken on that, but I think there's a lot of interest in the legislature of accelerating State Route 30, and obviously there's a lot of project development work that has to be done. The center section is ready to go, which is one reason why we really are encouraging a 2022 vote, so we can accelerate the construction of that segment. So I just wanted to clarify. I think the opposition in general, the opposition that we've heard has more to do with, we don't like the rail component. And that's been pretty typical, both in terms of discussions and way back in Prop 400 and even today, even though we've had continued success with the rail program, and it has tremendous public support in the city of Phoenix in particular.
Mr. Chair, it's Ken Weiss.
Yes, Ken.
Nathan, a couple quick questions for you. So we've been meeting with our new LD22 representatives, and they've been very open to SR30. They're in favor. They have some concerns about what other West Valley projects get done, like road projects and bridges along that line. And that's a discussion later on over the next couple of months, but they're generally in favor of SR30. My question to Nathan is, how has redistricting impacted our ability to deliver a successful Prop 500 vote at the legislature, or hasn't it? Are the players pretty much the same? Are the districts? Kind of give us some insight there.
Mr. Chairman, Mayor Weiss, thanks for the question. When we do meet with legislators, they are noting how their districts are changing. However, it's not come up as a concern related to our efforts in enabling legislation or components of the plan. But certainly it's a top of mind among legislators, how their district maps will shape out. But again, not rising to a level of concern in our conversations that we've had regarding enabling legislation in the plan.
Mr. Chairman, this is Mayor Wires.
Yes, Jerry.
Something that I think members might be made aware of. One of the things that we've noticed just in this last week or so, week and a half, the trucking associations are trying to get engaged and get people to the point where one of the topics in Prop 400, and I want to remind everybody it is Prop 400, and the new one will also be Prop 400. It's not going to be 500 because that's a different legislative event. So it's Prop 400 on steroids, basically, is what we're doing. But the truck parking is becoming a huge issue for so many different people in so many different cities. We as a group have got to not allow that to happen. We need it to stay as it is. We need State Route 30. We need everything that we're doing as it is. We don't need to water this down, confuse legislative members with the truck parking. And that's exactly what they're trying to do. So I would ask everybody, please contact your legislators, tell them the truckers want to bring that up. That's a separate issue. The state has lots of money on the side. We can deal with those issues on a separate bill, but not allow people to confuse this issue with truck parking.
Thank you, Jerry. Nathan, I know that there's been some evolution of the language. For example, I think some groups were expressing concern about not reauthorizing TPC And so I think there is some language included in the legislative bill, to address that concern. Can you update it? What other, tweaks may have occurred along those lines? For example, have we quantified what the caps on light rail are, that are going to be baked into this?
Right, Mr. Chairman, thank you for that, members of the committee. Regarding light rail, that has been agreed upon cap of 14%. So that's been worked out. Regarding late additions, I believe it was Senator Livingston, Representative Payne, working through the bill sponsors, Pace and Carroll. Three changes at the end were put in. One of them is increasing the number of TPC members by 2. So that would add 2 unincorporated Maricopa County seats, with an eye on some of the conversations, in particular with the Northwest Valley around transit opportunities. But those seats are not defined beyond being 2 unincorporated members of Maricopa County. So that's a late add. Another one is keeping, how do I phrase this? So if there's an appropriation, let's say from the state going to advance, for example, a freeway project, that would free up money in the freeway program. The current language that's been added would keep that money in the freeway program. So if there's an appropriation to freeways, the money that's freed up would stay in the freeway program and not be transferred into other modal categories. And then the last one is permissive. If a member agency is providing transit service to, for example, an unincorporated area of the county or otherwise, it's permissive that they may be eligible for reimbursement for some of that transit funding. So those were 3 late additions to the bill sponsors. We've run those to ground, and those have been included in the final version.
Great, and that doesn't really impact our regional transportation plan. No reason to come back to MAG and say they're not changes that are substantive or that impact the implementation of our plan, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that is correct. Those are all workable within the proposed plan, an approved plan.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from the membership before we move on? All right, thank you. This item was on the agenda for information and discussion only. Item 6 on our agenda are requests for future agenda items from the membership. Are there any requests for future agenda items? All right, thank you. Agenda item 7 then is any comments or announcements from the membership. Anything you'd like to share with us? All right, well, thank you very much. That concludes the business for this meeting, and we are now adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.